Action News starts now.
After months of campaigning, weeks of record turnout for early voting, today is the day Americans decide who's in charge in Washington and 35 states.
From the biggest races in Kansas and Missouri to what's happening nationally, we have all angles covered on this Election Day morning.
And weather, not an excuse to skip the polls today. We have your Election Day forecast right now. So how's it going to look?
Yeah, so this morning, dry, chilly, cool, sunny, but by the afternoon, that's when we're going to add in a chance for rain. So we kind of have a mixture of different weather conditions out there for you, depending on when you hit the polls. Currently, we are in the upper 30s and low 40s, 44 Pleasanton, 41 Garnett, Kansas, 42 downtown Kansas City. At KCI, though, we've fallen another degree to 39. We'll want the thicker coats before you step out the door. So clear skies on that satellite and radar composite. This band of clouds will continue to track to the northeast and allow for our next disturbance to move in from Wichita to Dodge City. Noticing this area of cloud cover and some light rain showers that will likely get to Kansas City by the late afternoon between 2 and 3 p.m. with showers possible around that evening drive, and especially if you're heading out to the polls after work today. So that's when I anticipate maybe some of those showers. You will need your umbrella for the second half of the afternoon. But driving into work, if you're heading out early for the polls, it's looking good. We're sunny and chilly, 39 driving in, 47 degrees heading home this evening, guys.
The midterm elections finally here. Polls open in just 1 hour in Missouri, and in Kansas they open at 7.
By the end of today, we should know the results of several hotly contested races and some ballot issues as well. We have team coverage of the election on both sides of the state this morning. 41 Action News reporter Charlie Keegan live in Kansas City with everything you need to know about voting in the Show Me State. We'll catch up with him in just a few moments. Let's start this morning with what's happening in Kansas and Ray Daniel. Thousands of people have already voted in Kansas, taking advantage of early voting.
Yeah, but election officials are still expecting a big turnout today when polls open. Let's get to Ray Daniel. Joins us live from the Johnson County Election Office. So, Ray, what do election officers expect on a day like today?
Well, Lindsay, let me tell you, we got here around 4:35, and there were already people at the mail-in ballots just dropping off those ballots here, so you can already tell how this day is going to be. Now, we know that 102,000 people took advantage of advance voting, and that's just from a 2-week period from Saturday. So numbers don't even count from yesterday's advance voting, but those lines were very, very long. Now, election commissioners say there's probably going to be a large amount of people voting around 7 o'clock this morning when they open, and also in the evening when folks are getting off work. They suggest the best time for folks to come is the middle of the day if you're able to. Commissioners say they're ready for what the day will bring.
We have trained 1,800 workers. They're well trained, ready to go. We have 400 assistant supervising judges and supervising judges ready to lead our polling locations. We have 1,800 voting machines stationed at the polling places as we speak, ready to go. So they're all drenched. They're all dressed up for the big dance. They've got the aftershave on. They're ready to go.
Now, there were 50,000 mail-in ballots that were issued. 30,000 have been returned. For anyone that is wanting to return a mail-in ballot, you can do it at any Kansas polling place, or you can drop it here at the elections office. Now, coming up later in the show, we'll be talking about voting machines. We know that was an issue back in August, so be sure to stick with us. Live in Johnson County, Ray Daniel, 41 Action News today.
All right, Ray, thank you very much. As you head to the polls in Missouri, we want to help you understand what to expect when you get there.
That's exactly right. 41 Action News reporter Charlie Keegan outside a polling location there this morning. Charlie, what kind of turnout do we expect in the city this morning?
Well, they expect a large turnout here in the Kansas City area. We spoke with the election board spokesperson who told us they're thinking about 55% of voters will come and cast a ballot at places like the Warnell Road Baptist Church here behind me, where some poll workers are already coming to start set up this location. Across Missouri, the Secretary of State's expecting about 54% of voters to get out. So what does that mean for you as a voter? Well, number one, it could mean long lines. If we think back to 2016, the presidential election, that's when Kansas City had 58% of voters come out. So 55% expected this go around, almost the same. So think to those lines that you experienced in 2016. They could be similar at your polling locations this year round. Secondly, what does a high turnout mean for results in an election? We spoke with a Rockhurst University professor of political science to find out if higher turnout benefits Republicans or Democrats.
historically that favors the Democrats, but some of those numbers change when it's new registries from 2016 who registered to support President Trump, or new registries from 2018 who registered to oppose President Trump. Which of those turn out, I think is a question we're not really sure about.
So Ringenberg, who you heard from there, he's shied away from making any predictions about this election and the outcomes. He says he'll just be tuning in like a lot of us at 7 o'clock tonight when these polls close to find out who's won what and how the races end up. Now, polls do open here in Missouri, though, at 6 o'clock this morning. Reporting live in Kansas City, Missouri, I'm Charlie Keegan, 41 Action News Today.
All right, Charlie, thank you. As you know, the Senate race in Missouri making national headlines. Incumbent Democrat Claire McCaskill running against Republican Josh Hawley.
That's right. Let's start with Claire McCaskill. The incumbent senator says she is confident heading into today. She'll watch the results in St. Louis tonight.
And we'll be there for that. Less than 12 hours ago, she was in Kansas City talking with voters. She's been vocal in her campaign about issues like protecting pre-existing conditions, increasing the minimum wage. McCaskill says she is a moderate Democrat who will vote for what's right, not just what her party wants her to vote for.
I would like to think Missourians would like to hold on to somebody who is capable of independence and have a little balance in our representation in Washington.
McCaskill's team is holding its election night party, as we mentioned, at the Marriott St. Louis Grand tonight. We'll be there with her. We'll bring you live reports starting at 8 o'clock this evening.
Claire's opponent, Missouri Attorney General Josh Hawley, also trying to secure some last-minute votes, and he's using everyone he can to help him.
Yeah, he made several stops around Missouri yesterday. This is from his visit to Springfield yesterday, with Missouri Governor Mike Parson standing next to him, Senator Roy Blunt in attendance. Hawley spoke about his opponent and key issues facing this election.
President Trump is securing our border, but Claire McCaskill is sponsoring the most radical open borders bill in the history of the United States Congress. She voted for amnesty. She has called the border wall embarrassing. That's her word. And she's mocked the president for wanting to have it.
Real Clear Politics polling in this race has Hawley leading going into Election Day by half a point.
And the White House has also, as you see President Trump standing there, been a big supporter of Josh Hawley.
Yeah, coming up more on President Trump's final plea to voters here in Missouri last night and the national implications at stake in today's midterm elections.
Back to our Decision 2018 coverage. We are just about 50 minutes away from the first polls opening in Missouri, less than 2 hours in Kansas.
Yep, just last night, President Trump making his final plea to voters in those important midterms, many which believe are a referendum on his presidency.
Tracy Potts has more on what's at stake, including a U.S. Senate seat in Missouri.
We are going to win this race.
From Texas.
We have this chance to do something amazing.
To Arizona.
We know what's at stake.
Under the wire, man. To Florida.
Our folks are going to come out. They are fired up.
I want this community to know that they're not going to be forgotten.
Candidates across America are reminding voters what's at stake.
There's a big difference on health care, right?
She has voted against border funding.
Issues the next Congress will decide. 23 seats could determine who controls the House of Representatives. Polls favor Democrats, but record early voting makes those polls unpredictable.
It's impossible to tell in advance which ones are right and which ones are wrong.
Georgia's governor's race taking a nasty turn with racist phone calls, and one candidate, the Attorney General, investigating Democrats for hacking voter registration.
You cannot be the referee and the player.
I'm not worried about how it looks. I'm doing my job.
President Trump making his final argument late last night in Missouri.
Our opponents have been on a relentless campaign to obstruct, resist, demolish, defame, and destroy. You can stop them with your votes tomorrow.
Former President Obama in Virginia.
The character of this country is on the ballot.
Character on the ballot, with division in Washington driving the vote.
And the government is suggesting that Russia or maybe other foreign actors may still be trying to influence your vote. On a tip from authorities late last night, Facebook announced they're shutting down 100 accounts. Tracy Potts, NBC News, Washington.
Rain is likely this afternoon, drying out tomorrow with snow now very likely on Thursday. We'll talk about what could accumulate from our next winter system coming up. Some exciting things happening the rest of the week. We still get very cold on Friday with high temperatures in the 30s with the sunshine.
Lindsay, thank you. We want to take a closer look this morning at the candidates on the Kansas ballot today. We start with the race for governor. We spoke to Laura Kelly, Chris Kobach, and Greg Orman about what they believe will help them win today.
We've pretty much done everything else we could do to ensure victory. What counts the most right now is making sure that we get people to the polls and that they vote and ensure that we come out on the right side tomorrow night.
I tell people exactly what I'm going to do. I mean what I say, and I follow through on what I'm going to do. So, if people disagree with me, at least they know where I stand.
I'm the only candidate in this race who has the experience to get Kansans better performance out of our government, to grow the Kansas economy so we can invest in our priorities without having to raise taxes.
And now to the 3rd District in Kansas. Congressman Kevin Yoder is in a tight race to keep his seat in Washington. And polls show him in a very close race with Democrat Sharice Davids. We spoke with both candidates yesterday. We found Congressman Yoder serving up voters politics and ice cream in Prairie Village. Here's what he had to say to us.
Tomorrow is the big day, and I think voters know that I've worked very hard in this district and work hard to build great schools and create good jobs, and I think this is the greatest district in the country.
While Congressman Yoder says he believes they have great momentum going into the vote, his challenger Sharice Davids also spent time with voters. She recognized the people working to help her win, including these teenagers she posted on Instagram, saying they knocked on doors after school.
All the people that have been participating and working so hard to make sure that we have a strong campaign. That's been the most amazing and powerful piece of all of this.
Switching states now. Today, voters in Missouri will decide whether or not to legalize medical marijuana in the state. But that's just the big question. When you head to the vote, you'll notice 3 different marijuana proposals on the ballot. The difference of each being how the drug is taxed and where that tax money will go. Amendment 2 focuses on using medical marijuana to help veterans specifically. It would impose a 4% sales tax to create a new fund for veterans in the state. Amendment 3 would tax medical marijuana sales at 15%, with the funds going towards cancer research. It is financed by Springfield attorney and physician Brad Bradshaw. Then there's Proposition C, which imposes a 2% sales tax on marijuana, with all the proceeds benefiting veteran care, drug treatment, early childhood education, and public safety. So, constitutional amendments supersede current state law. So if Amendment 2 or 3 passes, medical marijuana will be legalized in the state of Missouri. If they both pass, the constitutional amendment with the most yes votes takes effect. If just the proposition passes, lawmakers have more room to interpret how it will take effect eventually.
Okay, here's another look at the poll hours. 6 a.m. in Missouri, 7 in Kansas. Unlike Kansas, Missouri does not have early voting, so will that make for longer lines? We'll see. It's important to note that in both states, you have a right to vote if you are still in line at 7 p.m. Got to be in line by 7. It's estimated that over 15 million people were registered but did not vote in 2016 because of transportation issues. If this is a problem for you, guess what? You can get free rides to the polls today. Ride KC is offering free fares in Kansas City, Johnson County, Wyandotte County, and Independence. You can also catch a free ride on a Lime electronic scooter. Just use the code LIME2VOTE18. Paratransit riders can call this number, it's on your screen right there, to get a ride, 816-842-9070.
And of course, 41 Action News will have live team coverage of the election tonight starting at 8 o'clock on the 41 Action News app, on Roku, on Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and YouTube. All available with our results tonight. Catching you up on some other news this morning, the health department now responding after forcing a group to throw away food meant for the homeless.
The group, called Free Hot Soup, has served homeless people in Kansas City for years, but that came to an end Sunday when health officials demanded they stop and poured bleach on the food so no one would eat it.
Officers and the health inspectors demanded that we destroy our food, and they were saying that we were violating health code violations by sharing meals with our friends.
They were notified back in September at a meeting that they needed to get a permit, and they just outright said they would refuse to do that.
Health officials say the group did not have a permit and the food was not properly handled. Mayor Slade James also tweeted about this, saying rules are there to protect the public's health and all groups must follow them, no exceptions.
Vandals destroyed a van that many families rely on for food. This morning, the suspects in that are still on the run. The Raytown Emergency Assistance Program serves 500 people a month, roughly. They use their van to pick up and deliver donations. Last week, they say vandals drilled holes in the van in an attempt to steal gas.
Kind of careless because we give away gas cards, and so they could have came into us and asked us for, a card for gas, and we would have gladly helped them.
Surveillance video captured the suspects driving into the parking lot when it happened. Workers say someone also stole their weed trimmer a couple of weeks ago.
A daycare center in southern Montana facing intense scrutiny this morning after somebody left a 6-month-old baby alone inside the building when they closed for the weekend. When little Avery's mother arrived to pick him up on Friday, she said the doors were locked. She called the daycare's director, who came to let her in. The director called the frightful event a mistake and apologized. The man charged with mailing bombs throughout the U.S. Postal Service to critics of President Trump will be in court in New York today. A filing from prosecutors in the case says Cesar Sayoc had a court hearing to be presented to a judge in federal court today in New York City. This will be largely a procedural first appearance, but it is possible we could learn some new details about this case. Authorities arrested Sayoc more than a week ago in Florida after tracing his fingerprint from one of the packages.
In consumer news this morning, FedEx is raising shipping rates. The good news is it's expected to happen after the holidays. The company says rates will go up in January. It follows the increase the company put in place last January. The move is due to the boost in online shopping and a shortage of drivers nationwide.
You see that snow on the plane there.
Yep.
No, I am that.
That was the first question
First
question I asked her when I saw her this morning. So, what's the snow chances update from yesterday?
With the snow?
I know. The last time I saw everybody yesterday morning, our snowfall totals actually doubled from what the computer models were yesterday morning, and doubled. Yesterday was like half inch.
Sure. Right.
Today, expecting closer to an inch in Kansas City.
It's still doubling.
So, so the big question is, will that end our snowflake contest? We have to get that inch here at 41 Action News,
and you can still enter, right?
You can still enter. You have to get the time of the day of when we pile up to that.
Like to the minute?
To the minute.
That's how, because I've never entered before. I can't win, so I don't enter.
And what do you get?
Unbelievable.
Some bling, right?
$1,000 gift card.
Well,
go enter. I mean, come on.
It
takes this long to go enter.
Yeah, exactly. So
and we're telling you when it's going to snow.
I know. I think a lot of people who've already entered are like, darn it. But yes, go in there, and maybe that could happen this Thursday. This morning, no snow, no ice to worry about out there on the roads. In fact, we're looking good on your commuter forecast. Temperatures are just a little chilly, upper 30s and low 40s. We start off the day dry if you're heading out to the polls early in the morning. Looks pretty good. By the afternoon, that's when we'll have to dodge some of those showers building in, especially around that evening commute.
Not too bad.
Yeah, looks good.
I can't get over pre-Thanksgiving snow.
I can't either.
Wild.
It's early.
Excellent. All right, 5:27 this morning. After the break, we have much more Election Day coverage coming your way.
We'll talk to 41 Action News reporter Charlie Keegan live again this morning. He'll have an overview of what you can expect to see on the Missouri ballot. There's a lot there. And we'll let you know what the ID requirements are to vote in both states, so you're prepared when you show up. Don't want to stand in line and then not be able to vote when you get there.
Good morning from Atlanta, where a hard-fought governor's race with allegations of voter suppression has gotten even tougher. Now with racially charged robocalls and a call now from the Republican Secretary of State, who's also running for governor, a call to launch an investigation into the Democratic Party. He alleges that the Democrats attempted to hack into the state's voter registration system. I'll have more on this coming up on Today.